Are we rolling? Sex, money. Oh, now I got your attention. You know what sex and money have in common? That's something that everybody wants more of, but they don't want to talk about it. That's one. Two is, we need to have a plan. We also need to have a financial plan and how we're going to do it. Today, we're going to talk about something called financial intimacy. We're going to show about how couples work together in relationships to achieve goals financially. We already just shot an episode on that last episode, and we want you to join us today, and we're going to walk through how couples become champions in the area of finances. Can I have an amen? Are you ready? Ready, set, grow.
Hey family, give me a high five. I bet you there's 5 people that you can think of that you can share this with. We want to make it easy for you to ask a question. Just put it right there in the chat. We may not be able to answer all the questions, but we'll do our very best.
Hello family, Pastor George, we're back. You guys, we brought back Shawyne and Jimmy Fisher.
Hey.
We had such a blessed episode. Hey, again, if you missed it, you can go back and look at the episodes on our playlist. But hey, let's just get right back into it. You guys, our last episode, we talked about not only being best friends, and we talked about relationships, and we talked about having a family mission statement, and we talked about goals, and we were walking through 10 things that champion marriages have. And then see, look, I'm even sporting the gear and everything, okay? So we're at number 6. If you want 1 through 5 again, check out the previous episode. Number 6 is that families like to do good together. If you have never heard me before, do good stands for G-O-O-D. Get out of debt. So do you guys, we found out last episode that you have a goal of getting out of debt. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
The goal to get out of debt is when you're in debt, it's just like the Bible says, you are a slave to the lender.
Right.
And we don't want to be slaves anymore. We want it to be free. And so we came up with a plan to start, of course, Dave Ramsey has his principles, but you establish your own based on things. But to pay off the credit cards, to pay off any outstanding loans, to pay off whatever. So we had a plan, phase 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, however many phases it took, and that's what we did. And so everything right now is paid off except for 2 major bills.
Okay, good. So one of the things is also whenever you pay off debt and doing it, you brought up something about it being freeing and borrow being slave to the lender. Those are actually cases that that people have. But one of the things about paying off debt is it's actually very freeing in the sense of this. When you release from a credit card, then you learn that you don't have to even be attached to that anymore.
Exactly.
Right. So one of the things also that we teach here is that when you start living beneath your means and you have what's called a debt multiplier, whether you learn that here, in these different areas, when you have these, you start paying down your debt. So the more you pay down your debt, your credit cards, the bigger the amount of money that's called a debt multiplier becomes. And that makes you pay down the debt a lot faster.
Yes. Right.
So the two, but I got to tell you something, and I'll praise the Lord in advance for you, is when you pay off a car, that's very freeing because you're not making that monthly payment.
Right.
And that's usually a little bit of bigger note.
That's done.
But I do have to tell you though, the absolute biggest one though is when you pay off your home.
Yeah. Right.
Because and then this is the funniest thing, I've said it before, is that God has blessed us to be able to pay off our home that we lived in.
Right.
And I thought, Jimmy, the happiest day was the day I paid off the loan. But you know what it actually was? It was the month after.
Oh, okay.
So like when I went down there, and we owed $150. I brought my wife, Jimmy, down. And I was sitting there at the bank, and everything. And I said, ma'am, could you tell her how much we owe on the home? They said, you owe $150. Because they wouldn't accept the last payment by wire transfer.
Oh,
Right.
okay.
And then I went, doing it. So my wife said that, and then she looked at me and said, how did we do? This house, I said, no, read the address again. I had to read the address. And then we paid it off. We went to, I said, because I told her, I said, Kim, I'm going to take you to breakfast, but I'm going to stop at the bank real quick. She goes, I don't know if I'm going to sign anything. I said, okay, no, you don't worry about signing. You won't sign this. Yeah. All right, so then we went to breakfast. Nice. And we sat and we thought about it.
Right. Yeah.
I said, now let's make it. But then I'm going to go over a process with you. Mm-hmm. Next month, I'm driving down Santanella. Mm-hmm. Driving down Santanella. And all of a sudden, and I drive by the bank. I said, wait a minute. I didn't make a payment. Yeah. I went to the Fox Hills Mall. Went up to the food court. I said, hey, everybody. I went and bought one of everything and set it on the table. I said, everybody, you can sit down here and eat. I just want to tell you how I did it and how good God is.
Wow.
The reason why is because I want to share with people how you don't have to do that.
Right.
That's why anytime, I used to never tell people, the first time when I didn't pay off the house, I never told anybody because I thought people would come to me and pay my mortgage, do this. Right. But then now I tell people and then I tell them what I'm going to tell you right now, you too. How you pay off your home is there's a couple of elements. Number one is you're intentional.
Right.
So what I did was I paid my mortgage on the 1st. So I already told people to pay their mortgage every 2 weeks. When you get paid every 2 weeks? Mm-hmm. If you multiply that out, there's 52 weeks in a year. And if you divide that by 2, you get 26. Right. That's how many pay periods there are. You divide 26 by 2, you get 13. So what happens is that's making one extra payment a year.
Yeah. Yes.
Right. So what you do is you start making every 2-week payments. Then what you do is you look at I don't want to get on the amortization schedules, but what you do is you start sending extra money into that whenever God blesses you. So if I ever had a speaking engagement, whatever they did, anything, I'd say, I would do it and I would pay.
Right.
And then eventually the bank called me and told me you can only make 4 payments a month.
Wow.
Because what happened was I was focused. Anybody called me, they're like this, we want to talk about you. I was like, I'll do it. I'll be on the street corner. I was walking, since you like holding hands there, I was walking in Santa Monica holding my wife's hand one day. This dude got out there, he started pop locking. I said, man, where's my little cup? Let me get down here, pay this mortgage off.
Right.
Which brings me to number 2, how you pay it off. Find other streams of income.
Yeah.
Exactly.
So if you do that, start looking at what other stream of income you can do to have someone else pay it.
Exactly.
Whether it's buying another property, whether it's you doing that, how you're doing that, and everything like that. Mm-hmm. And you start doing that and you become intentional. Mm-hmm. But I do classes on that and everything. That's really how you do it. And which brings me to also businesses and everything like that. You have a business?
I have a business. It's called God's Best.
Right.
And it's natural remedies. So everything, the name of my business came about because what God said he made in the beginning, it was his best. So all my products are all natural. There's no preservatives. There's nothing in it. So if you don't take it, it will go bad, but it's all natural. It helps. We got all kind of stuff for high blood pressure, sugar, diabetes, just build up your immune system, everything. Sea moss.
That's all the stuff that affects people,
right? All the things that affect
also,
people.
From the previous episode, though, I wrote down notes. They said they had a family mission statement. I'll let you repeat it, and then wait, I'm gonna have Jimmy repeat it.
Yeah, go ahead.
So the mission statement, but then I want to talk about how that mission statement has to do with your business. Family mission statement.
So we are a family that is in love, successfully managing wealth, healthy, skinny, and living life till we die in our right minds.
Right. So, but do you see how if that's their mission statement, then do you guys see this? I'm coming back to paying off your mortgage on your house.
Right.
Do you see how if that's their mission, opening up a business that is health remedies is walking them to that same area?
Right.
That's what I'm talking about being aligned. I'm not saying get a job you don't like doing. Like people say, oh, I don't like being outside. Okay, well, I'm roofing. I'm like, well, maybe that's the wrong thing. So it's like, she said I'm gonna be healthy, and then I don't know what to do about the skinny part.
She threw that in.
Okay, she threw,
vanity.
He just going along to get along. Okay, all right. Okay. But you see how that business, and you say, is this business gonna be blessed? Because it's part of your mission statement. Exactly. So let me say one more thing about it, then you can add anything else you want to do. So one of the things is I'm done mentoring people. Like, will you mentor me or you do that? No. What I do is I model. Mm-hmm. I show you, like, in other words, like when I do a house, I walk you to the house and look, everything in this house is gray. The reason why is I don't know if I'm renting to a man or a woman. I'm saying, so I'm gonna put flowers in here, and there's women here, or if it's God, I'm gonna put a PlayStation 5. You know what I mean? I'm gonna be able to do that, and I'm modeling that to them.
Right. Mm-hmm.
So if your mission is to live healthy, then you can open up one in that area.
Right.
Right.
Just like if yours is just like how if you guys do marriage counseling or marriage thing, then that's you want to be married and live well and experiences. Same with you in the area of praise and worship and all the things in those areas. You can do the exact. You're doing something that you already do. That makes sense?
Yeah.
That's good?
Makes sense.
Go ahead.
And I just want to give a station identification break real quick to talk about champion couples. If you are a couple, a married couple, or a couple that is seriously dating, check out the Champion Couples Ministry here at Faithful Central. It is a ministry that we are dedicated to helping, to mentoring, to praying for and encouraging marriages and families and couples. And so we want you to know that there is help out there. There is prayer. There is support. And so visit us at faithfulcentral.com/champion couples.
Good. The commercials and everything.
Or couples, I'm sorry, just couples.
Good.
Sorry.
But also, Jimmy, I appreciate you doing that. Do you know how also about champion couples, to let you guys know the impact of that? Every now and then I'm asked and I'm honored to officiate a wedding. People say, will you do my wedding? So just so you guys know, anybody that ever asked me to do their wedding, you obviously know they have some financial background. Like they came and they want to be together and live financially and everything like that. If they asking me, like you can pretty much know it ain't going, they're going to have a little a cardboard house out in the middle of the dance floor, and we're going to contribute for them to have a down payment on a home. But I went to, so I always, whenever I officiate a wedding, I always give them a Bible. And you know this, so I always give them a Bible, and I say the first time you ever get into a disagreement or anything, I want you to come to this Bible. I want you to have a Bible together, because the Bible says in Amos 3:3 is that how can two walk together unless they agree? So I give them a Bible, and I came, and as you know, the wedding that I did, you were there as marriage mentors. Right. And I had them come forward, and I said, the first time you guys ever get in a disagreement, I want you to put your hand on this Bible, and I'm going to have Pastor Jimmy and Shawyne Fisher pray for you right now, because we walk with so many couples from before they say I do and then after they say I do. And that's when we need to do that. Right. Also, one more thing is that you guys know that a lot of people read books up until they go to college, and after they read books, after they go to college, they stop reading books. I know that sounds crazy, doesn't it? Say, George, why are you talking? Pastor George, why are you talking about that? There's people that go to premarital counseling, and then once they get married, they never ever go back and talk to anybody anymore.
Right.
So what you need to do is continue to do that. Absolutely. The Bible says iron sharpens iron, so that's how we do it together. So you want to be in champion couples. We'll put a link in the chat that you'll be able to actually email or also get more information about events that come forward with champion couples. And then next year, man, they have a little retreat and everything. Y'all can sit back, relax, do the whole thing. So there'll be more things coming forward. All right, hey, let's jump to number 7, okay? There's something called, for a financially successful couple, there's something called a family wealth plan. So what that is you start developing a plan. Can you talk a little bit about that, about you guys in that area?
For us, with our kids, us,
2 kids.
We have 2 children. Well, they're young adults now. We started them off, even at a very young age, teaching them about tithes and offering and giving and saving. They had these little boxes that they used to put their little monies in to do this, and I would always break it up so they could do that. And so with that, we were teaching them, and one of the things that I was really enforcing to them was about being wise with their monies. Right. And so I taught them to be cash only, never credit cards. And they never saw us doing that either, but cash only. To this day, I'm proud to say they don't have a credit card.
They made it through college without that? I thought college's whole thing was to do that.
I know.
I mean, there's the whole thing.
I was surprised because they've been taking that to heart.
Right.
When people, the advantage the advantage of doing cash is they see the value of
Right.
the money. They learn how to value it more.
Right.
That's why I bring my kids up to the cash register,
Right.
so they can begin to do that. And also that's a part of building generational wealth and doing that. Also, an interesting statistic why I wanted to have Jimmy and Shawyne come is that Jimmy and I are the exact same age.
Yeah.
How old are your children, Jimmy?
My daughter is 27 and my son is 26.
Now, did I tell you we're the exact same age? My children, I have two 10s, just so everybody knows. I went to the hospital with 2 people, came back with 4. I have twins that are 10, and I have an 8-year-old, and it's like, and then he came and rubbed me on my shoulder when I first got hit. He goes, "You starting?" I said, "He's."
See, when he got married, he got to have fun. Well, when he was growing up in his 20s, he was having fun, single, all that kind of stuff. And me and Shawnee is slaving away with kids and diapers and formula.
Right.
And so when he had kids, it was a great day because our kids by then was teenagers and ready to get out the house. And so now we get to have our fun. We get to do our thing.
Right. So, but this is the beauty of why I brought that up is this. You managed very well.
Yeah.
And so sometimes whether you had children early,
Right.
or you had children later, you really got to be a good steward over what you managed.
Absolutely.
Also, I want to, Jimmy told me a claim one time, also I got excited about, Jimmy, whose responsibility do you guys think, you guys, they're on one accord. Jimmy, whose responsibility do you think it is to pay for children to go to college and then let me run around the room? Whose responsibility is that?
Look at me right here. It is the child's responsibility to pay for their college. Amen. Can I get an amen from any adults? Anybody who got a degree understands that when they're sitting in that class and they understand that they pay for the tuition for that class, they're going to do better in that class. Right.
Preach, Jimmy. See that? I'm sorry, we do that on Sunday. Preach, baby.
And this is where I will jump in is for us to prepare our kids for that. I got them in acting when they were really young.
Yeah.
So this was their job. And we would manage their money as thus. So when they were older, I would put it all into the bank for college or investments for college. And that's how they got through.
Yeah. So when they got to college, they had money already. And it was a strategic thing that we did because when we first got married and started having kids, we're both working and doing all of that. And then, when the kids started growing up, it was, Shawnee was feeling some way and I was too, because we didn't want to have our kids in daycare and then all this kind of stuff. And we wanted to be able to raise them and have godly influence on them. And so, we prayed about it and Shawnee quit her job to be able to stay home and to take care of the kids. And, she prayed that famous faith prayer.
Hey.
For me, it was like, God, bless him to make more money than we were making together, and he did. I got about 2 more jobs after that, but he did.
But right, and
I
you
was
gave,
running around,
and you gave, and you did it, and you trusted God.
And,
I'm sorry, go ahead.
And God really blessed that. But the great thing about that was when the kids got into acting, that was their choice of something to do, and we started seeing that. They can make really, they were good at it and can make a lot of money with it. Then what we decided was, that money that Shawnee would have made during her, working, the kids are actually making that. And we would have been paying for them to go to college because they didn't have no way to, to pay for that. But this was a way that they could. So this was a way to help them financially, but also give them the responsibility of managing their money in such a way that they can pay for college. So that's what we did.
All right, everybody, the word has been spoken. All right. Now, y'all, when I do this stuff, y'all want to call I got all these people out here trying to call the protective people on me for this stuff. But I want to say just a couple things that Pastor Jimmy and Shawnee said. Is one, they were intentional. They told their kids like how I told their kids. Hey, man, you're responsible for college and everything like this.
Right.
I went out to my neighbors. My neighbor said, hey, man, I'm going out of town for 2 weeks. I said, hey, man, you want them to take out I said, George, I said, they'll take out the trash for and everything like this. That'll be $20. And so then the guy gave him $20.
Right.
And then I had him write a little note to all the neighbors and everything like that. And this is the number. And it takes him about 5 minutes. If you divide that out, he makes about $250 an hour. I think that he's doing well.
Yeah. Right.
And then when he gets that money, then what do I do with it? Shawnee's using cash, but I'm just going to tell you what we do is that we're going to first have what they're going to give, a third. Then we're going to have what they're going to invest, a third. Because I'm sorry to mention a swear word. There's this game called Roblox. Kids play games like this. So he can buy stock and investments, and then the other third he can just spend and everything like that. And if you guys want to, you guys can watch my videos. He went out and bought himself some shoes the other day so he can go to school and all that stuff. Because because what they're doing is, what am I doing? I'm being intentional. I'm teaching him to value money. I'm teaching him that to understand there's a cost for something, and you got to be able to pay it, just like your parents. Man, I'm excited. I'm gonna have you guys back next week.
I want to add one more thing.
Hey, everybody, she want to add something. Go
one
ahead.
of the things that I was very intentional with my kids is never ask me for anything. You ask me, how can I earn it? And so they did it. I mean, I'm kind of crazy, y'all. You don't.
No, this ain't crazy. Go ahead.
But I would even make them at home. They would have to interview for jobs that they can make some extra money.
Oh, yeah.
And they did. And they had to do the interview, pass the interview. I've had to fire them a couple of times for stuff too.
Yeah.
Interview for a job. I'm right. Don't write down nothing. I'm right. I'm doing this. That's all I needed. Okay, that's all I need. But you guys, you see these certain things? Interview for a job. Start setting them expectations. Like things like this. I took my kids to the grocery store. I told the story last time. I buy my wife flowers every time we go to Costco. But then I got people pushing me over now. Let me get mommy some of these. And I'm like, what do you think she'll like? And I'm like this. I said, hey man, I've been doing this for a while, man.
Right.
You've been in this game 10 years. I got a little more skin in the game. I said, I'm not jealous of my kids, I guess. No, but anyway. So in doing that, but I take them to the grocery store and I started going like this. Hey, let's buy this, and then we have a whole list thing.
Right.
If it ain't on the list, we ain't getting it. Hey, Dad, can we get this and that? No, is it on the list? No. Then when they found out that ain't nothing on the list, that ain't on the list. And doing that. So hey, I'm gonna hit 2 more areas. So guys, again, I'm gonna hit 7 was family financial plan. And then number 8 is estate plan, but I skipped that, and then we went over kids plan. We've already covered kids plan. Guess what the kids plan is? They paying. Okay, we're not just playing. They paying, okay? So we're going to have them do that. Now I just want to hit just estate planning really quickly, and just us being, Jimmy earlier said he's doing a station identification. I just have to just tell us this, that every family needs to have an estate plan. I'm going to just type, when you guys type in, because I'm going to just type in the chat, blueprint, meaning this, that we do whole shows on this, but I just want to just have you understand this. You need for yourself to have something called a living trust. That's why you're alive, that you have a trust that you want to have outlined what happens if something happens to you, okay? So, and then I'm going to tell you about how we're going to go up 1 and down 1, but I want the family to start having this, a family estate plan. So if something happens to Jimmy or Shawnee, there has to be, I have to mention a swear word real quick. If they don't do anything, they would go to probate. Oh, God. I hate doing that. I hate mentioning that word. Forgot what I was talking about. Probate. You don't want that. So they need to have an estate plan. Now, they said that one of their goals was to pay that house off. If they don't have an estate plan, then the state of California, we're in California, has to decide what happens with that property, okay? Then their son and daughter would go to court for years. And then before he asked me how long it takes, we don't know now because of the pandemic. We used to tell people 2 years before the pandemic.
Right.
But LA County, I haven't had any cases come out since then.
Wow.
And in Orange County, I heard it's even longer. Wow. So I don't, at the time of our taping, I don't know how long it will take. So you want to have a living trust, and then you want to have something called durable powers of attorney.
Right.
POA, okay? There are two kinds of power of attorney. One is for finances, like what's going on with the finances. The other is for healthcare. Right now, we're talking to married couples, so you have power of attorney over Shawnee. Shawnee has that over you. But if something happens to both of you, who is that person? Don't get out that information right now, but they have to have, those directives have to be done. And then something called healthcare directives. Do you want to be hooked up to machines and different things like that? Then there's something called a pour over will. A pour over will is that wills actually go through probate, but that's in case you have something that didn't get put in the trust. The trust is like all secure, like a M1 Abrams tank. So then if you have something sitting outside of it, it can pick it up and put it right back into the trust. So you want to have an estate plan. For more information about that, you have to click and we'll talk to you a little bit more about that. Okay? All right. So hey, my last, number 10 is actually the fun part, is creating financial intimacy together. So I just want to talk to you guys about financial intimacy, and we've already gone over this in the last 2 episodes. So I want to read it to you again, what the definition is of financial intimacy. It is the freedom to openly express, honestly and safely express your financial beliefs, fears, and expectations without fear or ridicule. So one of the things I'm going to ask you after I explain this is there's some things that people could do. So if you're at home, you say, hey, we don't actually do anything. We don't ever talk about finances until there's a problem. That's a problem. If you're coming home and you're like, hey, the lights is out. You know what I mean? And like, hey, and then you're like, we gonna eat candlelight. I'm like, you want to do that because you want to, not because you have to. So what happens is you want to start setting up, and you got setting up a time where you're going to start having that conversation. So me and my wife have a third Friday where we go and we sit down and we do things. But now should be for a newer couple to this. Is you're sitting down and saying, what are your goals? Now, I am a good listener now, because I've been married for a little while, as Shawyne said, is that they want to get out of debt. They want to do certain things. I'll let you summarize. They already had their goals written. But what are your goals? It's like, do you want your kids to go to this school? Do you want them to go to private school? Do you want them to pay for school? You can't tell them at 17 and a half that you got to... He laughing. Okay, all right, but we got people to do that or tell me that they want to work on their retirement plan at 64 and they want to retire next year, is that you want to start setting short, medium, and long-term goals. I'm going to let you summarize yours. The reason I keep pointing at Shawnee is Jimmy said in the last episode that she's the person that manages the finances and doing it.
Shawnee Joseph.
There you go. Watch another episode at it. But so you want to have short, medium, and long-term goals. Short means in the next 18 months, what do you want to accomplish? Like, hey, I want to pay off these credit cards. I'd like to do this. Medium, I like to own a home. I like to switch jobs. So first one is, what are our sources of income? Hey, I want to open up a business. Well, does your spouse, before you open up a business, everybody, you have to talk to your spouse, because you're going to be working after work hours or in doing that. And then also, we don't quit our job. You don't quit a job that is paying to start one, okay? That job has to have income. That's a whole nother show and everything like that. But there's a short-term goal, 18 months. Medium is 2 to 5 years. And then I said, well, George, is it 2 or is it 5? It depends on how aggressive you are with it. You know what I mean? Like if you say, hey, I'm going to put in $100 a month, okay, it might be 5 years. If you say, I'm going to put in $500, I'm going to be aggressive with it, then it's much shorter. Then you have long-term goals. And that's where you're going to retire. And then what type of lifestyle? So some things you want to sit down is, so it should be a fun meeting. So you're saying, where are you going to go on vacation? I don't want you guys to tell, but I know they just got back from a trip and everything like that. And doing that, but so like say that the trip is, because that's what our family, like we sat down and said, okay, we're going to go this summer. So I'll give you ours. I said, actually, I didn't have to get too far into it. My wife said I'll tell you guys, they said they wanted to go to Hawaii. Now, George, I'm leaning over here next to Shawnee now. The financial George was like, okay, we're in a high inflation market right now. Everything's inflated. Hawaii is even hyperinflated and everything like this. And I showed 4 other places around the world in the United States that would have been a fraction of the price that we could have done. And guess what? And then all of them said they still wanted to go to Hawaii. And then I said, okay, so we're going. But then what I do, I set up some of the parameters. Like, hey, just want to let you guys know. They go, what clothes you want to pack? I said, I'm not bringing I'm bringing food with me. I'm I'm going to work this to make it work within the family goal.
Right.
So that's how you do that. But see, everybody was happy. It was win, 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 and you win with the family. Anything else you want to add about the goals that you guys have and how you do them?
Jimmy, maybe you should take this one.
Right.
Well, I would say, just again, in terms of the goals, they have to be, you always said that they need to be manageable, they need to be observable, and the ability to keep on it, because we've been it's been about 5 years or so on this journey to really get debt free for us. And I had to rethink the way that I even thought about money, quite honestly, because, there are some times when you're working all this time and it's like, man, I want to go out. I want to, do something, or I need, something like that. And my wife is very focused on that 18-month goal, that 2-year goal, that 5-year goal. And I'm going, but, going to Ruth Chris won't hurt, too much. We can just go to the happy hour and get a burger for $15 or something. But I had to submit to her in some of the conversations that we had, because that was a goal that we agreed on. Right. And there's sometimes, when you're not feeling that goal at that time, but you want to come together and be able to have that conversation to say, no, this is our vision, because at the end of it, what you said, we driving down to our credit union together on that day.
That's right.
Be able to pay it off and just be excited. So that whole month is going to be
go to Ruth Chris.
Then go to Ruth Chris.
So that's what she said. I'm giving you ammunition for next time that happens. Okay, so you guys, but this is the part that's why it's so important to sit down and have us talk. Yeah. And I want you to talk as a couple. Right. Is the real thing that we're talking about is balance and flexibility. Yeah. So then it's like you kind of figure out different things. Like you say, hey, I'm just picking on because you said Ruth Chris, but if you want to go to a steak, I'm gonna say any steakhouses that then you find out places that they'll get a gift card. Remember we were we were doing it. Yeah, I said So Groupon, if they still make those things anymore, but we had a whole thing we're showing. But like what you do is you're intentional about your goals, right? And God blesses you. So again, you put God first, you keep with the goals, and then there's balance. Because sometimes, remember, we do want to take the trips because with your kids, all those things, you want to have the experiences. Absolutely. And you want to live life. So that's how we balance it. We do it all together as a family. And then, you know what we do? We give God all the glory.
Exactly.
Hey, I want to thank you for joining us on this episode. Again, shout out. Can you give Shawnee a hand? I'll bet you folks see us and type it in the chat. Then my man Jimmy, Jimmy's my best friend. We go everywhere together. I want you to keep believing that, the people that believe it. Okay, and doing that. It's an honor to serve with you both. Thank you so much for coming today. And you guys, I pray that you learned something, and I look forward to seeing you on our next episode of The Wealth Cycle. God bless you.
God bless you.
Hey family, give me a high five. I bet you there's 5 people that you can think of that you can share this with. We want to make it easy for you to ask a question. Just put it right there in the chat. We may not be able to answer all the questions, but we'll do our very best.